In every deliberation, we must consider our impact on the next 7 generations. This saying from Great Law of the Iroquois. How are you, my dear students in environmental science? I am your instructor, Alex J. Ballesteros, and we will be together in one semester discussing all about environmental concepts and principles. Environmental science is the study of the human interaction with the natural environment, such as our climate, soil and landforms, water sources, and other living organisms. Historically, people long time ago are totally dependent on the environment for their needs. People are said to be nomadic. Our ancestors or ancient people tends to transfer from one place to another by gathering fruits and animals, hunting for food, and in that way they are consuming the resources from our environment from place to place. Now, during the agricultural revolution, and that starts people started know and practice some technology of agriculture, humans began farming. So in the history, Sumeria or the Sumerian are the ones who started to plant some grains, and they also relied on irrigation in order to plant those grains for food. However, this practice brought some problems when salt presented in the irrigated water began building up in the soil, causing yields to decline to a half, then a fourth of the original levels. So the soil becomes acidic, no? And eventually only salt-tolerant barley could be grown. So Sumeria collapsed. So what happened is the soil becomes acidic, and the nutrients from the soil tends to become lower or smaller in level, and only those plants or selective plants can survive or can grow in that type of soil. So what happened is what we call the salinization of the soil in the ancient Sumerian people. This is an example of the law of unintended consequences. This law is all about the decisions often that has or that have an unexpected effects. Another is this is also an example of the resource depletion, which means consuming the natural materials faster than they can replenish. So that's what happened. Now, for the Industrial Revolution, this marked the transition to coal power, electricity, and factory production. In the history, the beginning of dependence of human being in what we call industry, using an engine or a machinery that is being operated by by coal or by using fuel or by burning of uh, fossil fuel, that's the mark of the what we call industrial revolution. The dependence of human to coal power, electricity, and factory production. That is the industrial revolution. So what are the unintended consequences and resource depletion that took place because of industrial revolution? Well, we can say, or we can clearly say, that because of this industrial revolution, the amount of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere becomes thicker and thicker. We release more and more pollution in the air, in the atmosphere, because of these industrializations. People build more factories dependent on electricity and appliances, and using so many sophisticated gadgets and appliances, and of course because of the increasing amount of or increasing numbers of cars that use or consume fuel by burning or the combustion of fuels such as gasoline and crude oil, then here comes the global warming, because all of those waste contributes to the increased level of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases that eventually leads to the global warming. How about resource depletion? Of course, because we are so much dependent on this fossil fuel, and then we people destroyed a lot of forests and mountains, digging the deepest part of the earth for mining, for finding the coal or the crude oil, and that resulted to the destruction of our natural environment. So those are the unintended consequences and resource depletion because of the industrial revolution.